picking up on our conversation, we talk about education, the importance of having open conversation on all the treatment that's available, the testing freely available. Why are people then not getting tested?
So I think not enough information, no sir? Not enough information coupled with it's not something we don't enjoy talking about it. We don't want to talk about HIV because when you start having the conversation on HIV, like I said, you need to talk about those body fluids. And if you're talking about those body fluids, you have to talk about sex. And we are uncomfortable talking about sex. To go and get tested, I mean, sir can say more about this because sir is on the front lines of this. I mean, to get someone to come to get tested. And then after they got tested, even to get them to come and take the result, take it to think buyer. So, I mean, you have been on the front lines of that, sir.
When you talk about men having sex with men and sexual orientation, this is a group of people who often get marginalized. And when we talk about prevalence or numbers, again, HIV is something that is used to further marginalize. Can we talk about that?
So promiscuity is by no means unique to the gay man.
Absolutely.
Right? The issue here, sir, as you rightly pointed out, is transmission through anal sex has a very high prevalence due to the possibility of tissue damage. Now, vaginal sex, due to increased lubrication because of vaginal fluid, etc., the chances of tissue damage. That's what we have. In the old days, I don't know if you remember, but UNAIDS used to put out a statistics saying that risk from anal sex was around 33% and risk from vaginal sex was under 1%. They used to put that statistic out in the old days, which gives you an indicator, right? Now, as sir rightly said, the issue is not sexual orientation. The issue here is knowledge on prevention methods. And we are not talking about prevention methods. The prevention methods are there. You can walk into any pharmacy and buy condoms and water-based lubricant.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have fancy water-based lubricant now, not just family planning associations, water-based lubricant. Whenever jati tiyanawa then.
So, but isn't the problem the fact that when you talk about condoms or lubricant and your sexual orientation, so like you correctly said, that's not the problem. But isn't the stigma, the shame associated with your sexual orientation, unless it is heterosexual, isn't that one of the biggest problems around whether people even talk about it or there's transgender?
So I think absolutely, because the way that we have not yet understood that there are non-heteronormative sexual orientations that are equally valid. That is our problem. We have, I would say, three main issues. First issue is that we think it's unnatural. Second issue is that we think it is a Western import. And third issue is that we think it is a mental illness. Those three huge myths are what we are up against. Now, if you break those down one by one, first of all, saying it is unnatural is limiting the behavior to the Homo sapien or to us, the human. It is not unique. It is not unique to the Homo sapien. You have over 1,000 species, including different kinds of mammals, and research is being done now to show that. So it is not unique. And we've been looking at that since the 1700s. Since Darwin started observing animals, we have observed homosexual acts between animals. The research is out there. That's one. Number two, Western import is ludicrous because if you take a look at, let's say, even the Kama Sutra, you take a look at Khajuraho in India and the influence in Sri Lanka, we have had gay people like any culture has had gay people. Okay. Third one, mental illness. Psychologists, psychiatrists since the early 70s in America declassified it as a mental illness because they began to understand the science. Sri Lanka College of Psychiatry, 2018. Correct, sir? Okay. WHO, 1992. So these myths are easily dealt with and challenged if we have information that goes out consistently.
Exactly. So then, in that case, the stigma that still surrounds this is one of the biggest barriers to a lot of the good work that the healthcare system is doing to support people, to make sure you're safe. Doctor, I have a question. You work with, I know, lots of different groups, marginalized groups. You do awareness, you do a lot of the work around treatment and access. If you look at HIV, if you look at this entire stigma, what can we do? for the social shift?
The final objective or final target should be whatever said and done, the positive behavior change of the people towards protected sexual activity. There are one of the main methods is using the condom. There are other methods, pre-exposure prophylaxis is there, but easily available is the condom, which protect not only HIV, other diseases also, syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, or genital warts, which is also rising annually at the moment also. And also it protects the unwanted pregnancy also. There are so many factors. One thing is there is a problem with the condom stigma also. So there is something called people are a little bit reluctant to go and buy a condom. It is a medical device. Most efficient way of protecting all sexual transmitted diseases. There are many types of condoms. There are studded ones. There are so many flavors. People should be encouraged to use these things and remove this stigma.
So that the myth around condom use is also the common myths like raincoat dala
No satisfaction.
No satisfaction, less feeling. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all here, right? This is your sex organ. So any feeling, pleasure, all that is here. This is where your chemical reactions happen. We have to do more as in terms of how we look at education. It has to be. So that's why we fall back here. I mean, it's not just on condom use, no, sir. I mean, on even having conversations around the other sexually transmitted infections.
But Hans, we talk about education, but what about families? What about your...
So for generational change, it is the children in schools that ultimately will have families of their own. So for generational change, we can't keep working only with the adults because accessing adults is very difficult. Campaigns, sir, you have been part of how many campaigns? I have been part of how many campaigns? How are we going to change the minds of adults with, let's say, a little bit of work around World AIDS Day? How does that even work? That is not going to work. Sir pointed out earlier, you need an age-appropriate approach to this, and where HIV is just one part of this.
Yeah.
It's not, the condom is not just about disease prevention, as Sir pointed out. Right? So it's about positive relationships and how do we maintain those? It's not just about penises and vaginas and anuses either. It is about how we treat each other. It's about the respect. It's about consent. It's about all those values. And those values can be age appropriately brought in with social emotional learning from pre-grade. People get upset. They say when you're talking about sex education, you're talking about condoms for 6-year-olds. Absolutely not. You're talking about the building blocks of how you have a healthy, positive relationship, how you treat another human being. That is the education system we need. And hopefully, that is the education system that we are on a journey towards, hopefully.
Yeah. How do you respect to the partner?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. There are some instances the partner is resistant. Either one party, male, a boy doesn't like, but girl is insisting on that. To you wear it. As he said correctly, it is not just a physical contact. It's emotional and environmental contact. It's the sex is like that. Respect to the partner is one of the main important part there.
Thank you.